All right. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining another Klugekopf TechBridge webinar. My name is Jennifer, and I am the program coordinator at Klugekopf TechBridge, where we support women and underrepresented learners in developing practical technology skills, building proof of work, and preparing for meaningful careers in technology. Today's session is titled Stop Building What Nobody Wants, because many founders and aspiring product builders, they are spending time building products that will fail for lack of building on genuine customer needs instead of assumptions. And today's conversation will help us understand how to identify these real problems, how to validate ideas before building, and develop product thinking skills that can support these technology careers and businesses. So joining us today is Omolola Odunowo. She is a product manager who specializes in scaling complex systems, building high-performing teams, and delivering enterprise platforms. She also has extensive knowledge, product experience across logistics and supply chain management, affiliate marketing, edtech, ride-hailing, Web3, and promotional gaming. Omolola, thank you so much for joining us. So to begin, please introduce yourself and tell us briefly about your journey into product management.
Okay.
Sorry,
Sorry,
please
please
just
just
check
check
if
if
Okay.
my
my
system will
system
be
will
a
be a
better
better
bit.
bit.
All right.
All right. Can you hear me there?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you clearly.
All right, awesome. So the question was, can you come again with your question, please?
So introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself, your journey into product management.
Okay, so my name is Omolola Odunowo. I am product manager at Darum NG. It's a logistics and supply chain company. Um, my journey was or has been very not like say in one straight line exactly. It has been in bits and pieces. So I first started out at a boot camp, and that boot camp was an entry level. It's an Australian based boot camp. However, they were taking in Nigerian students for their first cohort at the time, and I decided to join. But that just taught me, that just gave me experience working with other product managers. It didn't really give me the experience of like working with maybe developers or product designers and whatnot. So of course I had to get this extensive experience from yet another boot camp. That was side hustle, or people call it Terra HQ now. So at Terra, we basically, learned, of course, they taught us, we were working with our fellow PMs for a little bit. Then they now, divided us into our own teams where we were expected to build things. There are PMs working together, product designers working together, and such and such. In that particular cohort, I'm aware that my team came first. I think it was just our coordination levels and everything that kind of helped us stand out. Not necessarily because we built the most fun stuff, but I just feel like we're more coordinated and we had more. Most people were just more, and everybody wanted to actually work as a team, which taught me that collaboration is really important for anyone who wants to enter technology, be you in maybe design to development to even product management. You have to be So I moved on and I got a job as an intern uh, at Metrics, where I was working on an affiliate marketing product. So I got a lot of, crazy work timing for that. We also worked on a couple of other products. This is across ride hailing and grants, various things. We were very even customer experience, and that was the first time that internship was for 6 months, but that was the first time that I got to work on like multiple products all at once. So that was very, very interesting because that was something new that I was doing that I'd never done before. So I think that experience taught me how to work on like several products at once. And currently in my current place of work, the product manager, headlining a lot of the major enterprise scale products that we have or the complex data related products that we have all at one sitting. And so for me, it's like a normalcy now because that is what actually like grounded me in tech generally from even when I was an intern. And of course, over time into who I am today, it has just been constant working, failing instances, some exactly kick off well. But yeah, you keep pushing. Of course, you learn from that and you use that as, for better strategies, other products and all those kind of stuff.
Thank you for sharing your journey. So, bringing us back to the topic, stop building what nobody wants. We'd like to hear from you. Why do many founders start building before confirming that customers genuinely need the product that they are building?
Please, can you come again with your question?
So the question is, why do many founders start building before they confirm that customers genuinely need that product?
Why do a lot of founders build like constant
Before
like
confirming,
first before they actually like, oh, okay. Well,
yes.
I think yeah, I mean ideas are scattered every ideas are people have ideas every day. You understand? And ideas are not born foolishly, Ideas are actually born from people's experiences, people's inconveniences, what people actually notice about maybe someone, maybe something, and they want to do something about it genuinely. However, sometimes the issue is that for founders, of course, everything has to still translate to revenue because they are building this solution so that in some way they will be paid. But sometimes too, it's more like what's the market having to say about it? Have you actually gone to the market to discover if it's not just a small section of people that require this thing? This small section of people, they may not have get the money back for what they've invested in such a thing. So when the founder in this kind of setting is very out of touch with the market or the current market, you find a lot of these issues happening more frequently because in that situation he's not doing his groundwork, or the amount of groundwork he has done is not with the right audience. So I guess in that kind of sense you may have these kind of issues, yes.
Oh, I see. Are you still speaking?
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for that answer. I mean, definitely, of course, founders should understand the problems that they are trying to solve before getting into it. So, another question I'd like to ask is, how can women who are entering technology identify real problems that are worth solving instead of relying basically on just assumptions? Did you get the question?
Not really. I didn't get the
Okay.
question. Can you come again with your question?
Yes. So women who are entering into technology, how can they identify real problems that are worth solving instead of just relying on assumptions wholly?
Okay. So I'll say validation of this idea is very important. Like I said earlier, they have to, of course, go into the market. They have to really get a sense of what the market is saying because it's the market that determines the direction of any product. So if the market is not, of course, you have to look at where are you starting from? Where are you heading to short term? Where are you heading to mid term? What is needed to actualize this? And in terms of this, when are you looking to get your revenue? Actionable plans also. Also having the right people that care enough about your product to actually stand by your product is also an important thing as well because that's also something that can pull down the product. The idea, in some cases, we find that the idea may be viable and validated, right? The assumption may have actually been checked out, right? But it's on the people executing, right, to execute properly. So we have those. We also have more of the time people that's founders who do not actually validate their ideas. They just go ahead, have the idea based off of their feeling, based off of their emotion. But the market does not look at emotion, the market does not look at feeling. It looks at pain points, it looks at frustrations, it looks at people that are coming in to solve basic day stuff, anything can be an idea, right? The content, the particular kind of content creators started out as someone's idea, right? Funny content started out as someone's idea. The particular way, maybe some creators who are exceptionally funny would appeal to various audiences across various skill sets, right? It's different from the maybe particular creator who would appeal to just one sect of people, right? So every idea has to be validated by something or someone or some way. So if you're validating it by putting it out there, maybe building in public. That can also be an approach you may decide to use. You're informing people, hey, and build. Some people are scared of doing that, but most times that has actually proven to be a very, very good strategy for businesses, products, especially products that are new and require awareness. Because right from the bat, right from the first day the founder decided to have their idea, they started validating it immediately with people, right? And it's not just a thing of their friends and family who may not really offer insights, true and genuine insights into what the market is really saying. Of course, they want to encourage, but what if the market doesn't care about that, right? And then you have already validated based off of your close friends and may not even be having these experiences that you're trying to solve. So this kind of avenues or this kind of things generally, though, I would say this is what uh I would say maybe founders need to take a look at more. Yeah, just ensuring that number one, the the ideas that they have are validated in any way or form. And number two, that even when they are validated, right, and they are sure that okay, the market needs this, the people that they now work with rather to bring these ideas to life are the right people, because it's also equally important.
I think this particular answer they've given answers a later question. And okay, so let's go on to the next question. So, what questions should someone ask during a customer discovery interview?
Mm. So a lot of people are very, very focused on selling their product as opposed to owning in on the problem. The aim is to validate what your idea is, not to sell the product to somebody. If you want to sell, just go ahead to say you're doing sales, right? But if you actually want to like validate, you have to ensure you keep your eyes focused on the problem, on the pain point. You want to see that whoever you're interacting with, be it an interview session or whatever you decide to do with whoever, maybe a particular segment of people, particular audience type, maybe decide to take 5, 10 of them, depending on what your range should typically be or what you decide that you want your range to be. You take A, B, C, these kind of people and you ask them particular questions. You should, number one, make it open ended. You want to really get their insights. You'll be guiding them so that, because the honest truth is that in product management, especially when we are interacting with customers every day, we are equally aware that customers most times don't even know what they want. They know what they need, when they are directed in the pathway. You are the one building the product. So of course you tell them, okay, in line with this, what would you prefer? Then you start hearing opinions. But if you just give them a very blanket statement, what do you want? How do they, narrow it down? They may tell you they want something else that is never pertaining to what you are doing at all. But when their minds can now begin to say, maybe when I used Uber, when I use this, when I use that, this is my experience, and then they can start giving you more valuable insights, from that. So I would say, ensuring that the questions are open-ended, ensuring that the questions are equally questions that pertain to the pain points, because you also want to get the frustrations of the users to actually solve it. Then also getting in touch with even the economy. Like I said, knowing where you want to start from, knowing the terrain you want to start from. Is this something that will require that you need to go and maybe get a couple of licenses from the government? What kind of compliance is there? How are you protecting yourself, your business before it even starts? A lot of these things are very important, especially if you are building like a financial product. Finance in Nigeria is very regulated. Anybody who is going into that should know, right, to be guided from the get-go. Not that, okay, you start something just based off an idea, and then you are going to go and you are later going to go and be partnering with people like CBN. You should really get your act right before you go into the market proper, right? Because these people will not want to look at the fact that you just started your product 2 months ago. They will be looking at the fact that, don't you know this is the process? So how educated are you about, what even the terrain is saying about what it is you're trying to build? So it's a lot more than just ideas in this sense. It's more of like yeah, it's just more of like knowing what actually surrounds the industry you're going into. You have to understand what kind of industry it is. The competitors, who are the kind of people you are going to be looking up to. I don't see competitors at the point when someone's having an idea as actual people that you want to knock off to be better than. I see them as people you want to aspire to. Then of course the strategy changes, right? When of course you are now there and you have gotten to like some threshold of what you want to attain. Then you now start saying, okay, let's reevaluate our competitor list once more and see who is actually now the person we want to knock off first, maybe on a short-term goal scale, on a mid-term goal scale. And yeah, so if people actually follow these progressions, I think they will do fantastically well. Yes.
Yeah. You've spoken about validation. You've spoken quite a bit about validations. I'd like for you to like expand more on that, based on how can a founder validate an idea before they are investing significant time and money in the development of that idea or product.
So let's use Google as an example. So Google, they dropped them this their Google Meet. They have an application called Google Meet, just similar to Zoom, right? So they basically allow you to have meetings with people. Now they gave that particular application to people for free for 3 years, right? 3 years without collecting anything. It was just part of Google's process. So ingrained that people had already put it into a lot of their processes in their businesses and all of these kind of things. So after 3 years, Google writes us a love letter. I like to call it a love letter. They wrote us a love letter and they're like, hey, we've given you guys this thing for 3 years without collecting anything. Now, in these 3 years, you can imagine what Google was doing. Google was observing. Google was trying to understand, okay, based off of local, the pricing, if we want to even price it, how much will Nigerians pay in a nation like this, when with the economy like this? How much would Americans pay? How much would people in the UAE pay, for example? So like, because I realized the pricing differences when they actually came out with their pricing. Nigerians pay significantly lesser than what people in the US pay, right? So I'm just trying to say that a lot of these factors went into they understudied our behavior. They understudied the fact that they couldn't just leave us high and dry and say, hey, we are moving to a paid stuff now. Everybody just go off the app. No, they still gave people what we call free value forever, right? And that's what makes Google a very, very difficult product to beat. Because first of all, they give it to you on the platter of gold. They have like a long-term revenue wait plan. And when they even gave the pricing, the pricing, the first batch of pricing, I think they said first 3 months, you pay a particular amount, which was very, very significantly low, below 1,000 naira, right? first 3 months, and then subsequently you pay this amount. So like it made sense to everybody to right. But right now, I think the money is now they're not telling you, hey, we are going to increase it. You get, but
Yeah.
it's a strategy well thought out that even you will never realize when you are now paying a lot of money, but they've played the long game with you so much that you don't even know what you are doing again. You're just going with the flow because I mean it works for your business. You're not seeing any issues with what they've built and all those kind of stuff. So that's what I'm saying. Like in the end, validation is strategy. It is still strategy because it depends on what you are using. I would also talk about Pew being AI, and they are like more for this church thingy where they I think the pastor comes on stage and the pastor says I'm let's open to this maybe Deuteronomy something, and then the AI just automatically brings it to your screen, as opposed to before when the pastors had to be shouting media, why are you not showing this on the screen, blah 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 blah. So like that way this particular person said, hey, this is a problem I've observed. Maybe he was on the media team, that one I don't know, but I'm just saying he saw this particular problem and decided, hey, I want to solve it. And he came up with a solution. And he started telling everybody about it right from the day he was making efforts to build it. And so over time, when he was introducing it to the market, everybody started, getting acquainted with it. Awareness as a strategy was already there. So what happens is he was reducing how much his market spend was going to be. If he had just built it quietly, right? And then he just said, hey, I'm out here now. He has to pay so much more to market such a product as opposed to building from scratch and getting everybody pumped and waiting for your product already. So when your product lands, everybody just latching onto the product because they've been waiting for it. However, it comes with some drawbacks because some other people too, who may have more money than you, who may be more resourceful than you, can rush ahead to build such a product. However, the initial person with the idea, and I think that's always what people's fear is. Once they have ideas, they want to quickly rush and build it out so that someone else will not get the idea. Truth is, ideas don't finish. But the truth is this, the person that has the original idea, so far as it's validated, you still have you cannot tell me that you have just one starting point for your idea. And
Yes.
again, even if you have a sole idea, the thought process is to build small with what we call the MVP, minimum viable product. You release what you initially want to test with the market when the original idea is still camped inside your head, and you bring out what is the most viable, right, of that idea. And you have look at Facebook. So I would say validation is also history. I said validation is strategy. Validation is also history because history is that my product started from here. This is what customers said about it. This is how I improved it, right? So you may have started your product without validating it initially, and or your idea, you may have executed your idea already. And then you don't have a choice. It's not with the market. The market will help you validate it by fire by force. You'll be able to know whether the people that you built it for, is it for them? Sometimes you build a product and the people that you intended it for don't even care to use the product. It's another subset of people that will start saying another way they can use your product. My advice to you in that kind of situation as a founder is to port, meaning start redirecting your strategy to serve the people that are showing you interest in your product, right? That way, your product is being validated by the market, even though it was never initially validated at the point of idea. It's just more expensive, and to have been better to have validated it from the idea stage where it still is a tangible, guy, than when it's now more of like a concrete idea that may need to be broken down and adjusted, like a building. If they get a defect wrong, they have to start yeah. So I would say that's how I would answer that question best. Yeah.
Really interesting. You've also mentioned a minimum viable product. So what should a good minimum viable product include, and how can founders avoid adding unnecessary features?
Yeah. Founders are always going to add unnecessary features. But the thing is, and I'm saying this because I'm a product manager and I've seen Shege in this regard. But the thing is, it's also the product manager's job to know how to say no, right? To protect the product, even from the founder themselves. Sometimes founders have ideas, but it's not the best time to have the idea. It's not the best time. It's maybe, and some founders are wonderful think tanks. When I mean wonderful think tanks, it's that they have wonderful ideas at any, you admire them for that. As a PM, you are like, whoa, this person always has ideas, which is a good thing for a CEO, right? And I'm always encouraged when I see that as a product manager. However, it's not all the time. Sometimes that idea, let's leave it for next 4 years. Let's live for the next 4 years. But some of them may not understand why you're saying it like that. They say, why? Why? Well, let your product even survive the market first. You understand? Let it even survive. There's what we call product life cycle uh, management, right? Whereby your product goes through a life cycle. So the first instance of your product is basically like the part where you want to ship and test a particular audience type. So I'll look at Dropbox. Dropbox, when they initially launched their product, they had it for just, I think, developers like all these little computer science guys, that just liked university boys. I mean, you also know Facebook was built for the university connection
Yeah.
now back then. So like, and Facebook back then too was not even responsive, mobile responsive in the way we have now. We have an app. Wow, we have an app. Before, it was just on small phones, our small phones. Everybody was viewing it on the web. You have to browse Facebook. Sometimes it load, sometimes it not load. You understand? Sometimes it will load with K-leg, sometimes not load with K-leg, but that was the core, and the core was connecting people. Now, Facebook does more than that, right? So the core is like, what is the first leg of your goal? Facebook's first leg was to connect people, right? Which they did. And when they were done with that, they started expanding and relating to what the market was saying. They started with communities. And that's why I say history is very important in validation, because when you can observe the big guys today, Google, you can observe Facebook, you can observe Instagram, you can observe WhatsApp. These people that even were bought by Meta, right? You can observe all these other guys out there, Adobe, even Figma. Observe their history and let their history be the one to teach you as a founder a lesson. Because the truth is, these people did it and they hit it big. Observe Paystack. Where did they also start? Let's go to the Nigerian market or the African ecosystem. How did Paystack start? Right? How did Flutterwave start? Did they start in the middle? Even Money Points. Money Points was not Money Points at a point. They were not Money Points. Forgotten their name. It was A something. Sha. They had one interesting
Interesting.
name at the time. But then they transitioned, right? And then it just clicked. And one of the things I heard about their history, they can correct me if I'm wrong, is that I think they said something around the fact of like Moneypoint was one of their products. And then once they just found out that it was a product that was working, they just dropped everything else. I said, okay, you know what, full throttle Moneypoint. We're going to, push this product as fast as we can. And that's what they did. And voila, Moneypoint is product we know today, right? So you see, for some people now look at things like Temu. And I'm like, well, Temu, if you look at Temu as a product, Temu is an interesting one, because Jumia, when you compare, they're both e-commerces, right? But Jumia, when you compare Jumia to a Temu came in with an insane penetration strategy into Nigeria, meaning they had an insane amount of marketing budget, right? And so when you see how they penetrated the Nigerian market, it was a bit easier. So, but do people have the amount of money that Temu has to push their product market-wise into a nation? No, right? Jumia, when we look at Jumia is also a very, very, a very, very stable and, yeah, market forward e-commerce product. They had years of constant building, right? Before they could take the hold on Nigeria. But Temu came in, you know, they had an insane market. So everything is still strategy. But your strategy in terms of your validation method, some may be money heavy, some may be I don't want to spend money, some may be let me give the first instance of my idea, right? So it's like it's not a direct, or it's not a straightforward path. But what I would say is that everything should be tied to your goal. Everything should be shipped in a way that can allow for growth. If you are just going to pour everything into an MVP, you are not ready. You are building an overbloated product, especially when nobody knows your name. Especially when you're not a Google, you're not an Amazon, you're not all these big guys. So if you want to really be known, okay, some people may say, well, some people may be listening to me and be doing their notes and say, well, I mean, I'll pay influencers. Influencer marketing is not what it used to be, right? Influencer marketing for apps is not what it used to be as a strategy. It may still work for maybe entertainment related type of, applications. When you talk about money spend, Nigerians are more like this when it comes to releasing money, right? For example, so if something has to be paid
Yes.
for, you have to understand the psyche of Nigerians tied to the economy, the current economy. It's more difficult now for Nigerians to release, not because they don't want to, but because the economy is equally tight. You understand? So how do you still get money for your product, even in this kind of tight economy? So everything, like I said, boils down to history, boils down to strategy, right? And whatever strategy you choose, right, it's now up to you to just follow through. But all in all, yeah, it's all on history and strategy for me.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you.
those are some very interesting points that you've made. So coming back to women who want careers in product management, what skills are most important for them, whether it's in product management or product development?
Hmm. I'll say no leadership skills. Oh, yeah, yeah. I'll say leadership skills because leadership for women it's very, very important. The truth is the tech space is still not as, especially in Nigeria, it's still not as women dominated as we think. I think some of the areas I'm seeing more women in, and they are thriving well. I mean, product management, yes, I'm seeing women now. Product design as well. But it's when it comes to software engineering, it's still relatively low. When we even see founders, founders that are doing technical stuff. We have wonderful business women, no doubt about that. But women that are building technical stuff, it takes a lot to be a woman in tech space and also at the forefront of leadership. So I feel like for a woman to be in leadership the right way, she has to first of all understand that leadership, especially as it pertains to product management, is what we call servant leadership. You have to get it into your head that you are not ordering people around. You are working with people to ensure that your product wins. Because if the product wins, you have won already. You can't be doing it as a thing of you should be able to, number one, like maybe defend your developers in front of stakeholders, but still go back and maybe change it for them internally. You understand it? They should be able to feel like you have their back because when they trust you, there's nothing they won't be able to do for you. Maybe at an ungodly hour, one of those rare times when you may have to reach out to one of them to maybe fix something, and then you get it done. Everybody's looking at you like, they answered you. Of course, if they don't feel like I have their back, if I'm somebody that brings, I don't know if you get like just unnecessary stress. They see my call. The fact, once disclosing them, they're like, ah, what's this one calling me for? You understand? So it's important that you don't lord over your guys because they are still men. So you don't lord over them. You ensure that you bring unity as a woman, bring unity to your team, bring direction, bring precision. And it's equally important that you are proactive. A lot of people are reactive. You have to be proactive. You have to think. That's a vision setting. Very important. Validation comes with, I've talked about short term, mid term, long term. Goals are important to set. And you have to not just set it so that your team equally understands it. Because when you tell them about the goals and they all understand the goal, everybody's now working towards that common goal. Then you keep reminding them of the goal, right? You keep refreshing their memory, let everybody be on that, especially if maybe at that point designers are slower, right? Maybe the developers are reaching, maybe they are getting to where the designers are or something like that. You have to start reminding, you just have it in a way that you remind the designers that, hey, guys, we have a goal here. What's going on? Why are you not up to speed? Are you having maybe design blocker? What is it? Do you need some time off? What's and when they feel like, oh, you are listening to them in some way, which is not to say that they don't used to cook beans. So you also have to be precise enough to know when they are shalayeing for you and when they are doing some kind of funny stuff. But then again, you should also be an empathetic leader. You should be somebody that they know, okay, when she's joking or she's joking, everybody laughs. When she's serious, everybody puts on their cap and everybody's working hard. So like, yes, leadership, all facets of it because it's very, very important. So I think leadership, I would say. Then of course, we also at the intersection of UX, business, and tech. So it's to be very unwise for any product manager or anybody coming into tech to think that you're not going to be required to speak technical jargon. You're not going to be required to understand tech in some way. It doesn't have to, you have to understand it. You don't necessarily have to be an executioner on it, but to understand it, you may need to study it a little bit, right? Maybe just the beginner part so that you can interact with your developer. You can understand why they are saying certain things like that and not come from a place that they will make call ignorance. You understand? And then it begins to conflict because they feel like you're not hearing them out. They are trying to tell you, and the only language they know how to speak is their technical jargon to explain what they're trying to say. You are confused because you don't really know, and then you're not asking for help. Which is why I say servant leadership. Because servant leadership, you're not holding over others. They know you're working with them. So when you say, okay, I can say something on my team, I can say, explain it to me like I'm 5 years old because I really don't understand. Explain it to me. And then when he explains it to me, right, I will now later on my own go and check it out myself, right? So that it doesn't occur next time that I'm misunderstanding the person. You can't know everything. Product management is a field that is requiring you to know everything and nothing at the same time. Like it's such a vast field. So you can't know everything at the same time. But okay, the issue is not knowing and then not learning. So yeah, we say leadership, understanding the intersection we are at in products, understanding your own intersection if you are going to be a software developer and all that, and then understanding how, to be in the balance of it all. Yes.
Yeah, we're taking all of that in. So how can aspiring product managers, people who want to go into product management, how can they gain practical experience and build credible portfolio without already working in a product role?
Hmm. Well, they will need to learn because if they're not working in a product role that may throw them right into the water, they need to learn. And the only way they can learn is by probably some of them may want to do all these online classes, some of them may want to join boot camp led institutions. But the reason why me I went into two boot camp institutions is because I didn't want to waste my time learning irrelevancies. So I wanted a situation whereby I could have guided tutors who like experienced tutors who could just guide me. Like so immediately I know, okay, yeah, I'm done with this and now whatever I'm doing, I'm building on it to be better, right? Yeah, so I'll say um they should go study because you can't enter even those that enter maybe through work. Yeah, see shege because they're being thrown straight into it, right? And they still have to learn on the job. So this one now you're learning and you're actively on the job, which is more intense. So if you are not in that kind of station, you have some ample time to learn. Then also for the portfolio part, it's all about mindset. A lot of people are working on the same thing too much, and it becomes a little tiring to see. Because if I am reading through a PM portfolio and it's just all about product tear down, and I'm like, how many times will I hear that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you actually even tearing down the product? Like, what exactly is it? Is it giving me an understanding of your mind in terms of business value? Is it giving me an understanding of your mind in terms of strategy? Is it giving me an understanding of your mind in terms of how you are going to look at design or approach design? So at the end of the day, we want to see you as a future manager, right? So what are we seeing that from your submission? Or are we just seeing the scope of work that you have been taught being poured out back to us? And then when we look at it, we just look at it as, oh, we have to be teaching. After you have gone to school, we'll still be teaching you the most basic stuff, which is on management. Now, not the education, management is equally different. Which is why I said when I went into the second boot camp, I understood management, right? Managing people, managing stakeholders. It's equally important. So I'll give you an example. If for example I say the mental health I think there was something that was going on in Nigeria, I can't remember at one time, and people had a lot to say about it. There was one time Aya here too, one Aya sorry, iPads, yes, iPads. They came, someone came and just had some word of mouth and said, hey, this I found this really great pad, blah 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 on TikTok, and someone brought it to Twitter. And everybody, I think within that weekend, they were sold out on all the shelves. And this was a small business. They didn't even know. They did not even know that their company had blown overnight. And so the conversation was intense. Everybody was really like following on with what the conversation was. So if you are a junior PM or an intern PM or someone that is just learning, how do you take that conversation? Look at the market, I don't know, market sudden reaction to that product. Go to their website. What do they need to change on their website to accommodate this that has come now? Because now they were now aware, they were now struggling with like orders, they're struggling with finding distribution partners. So how do you do it that maybe they have access to easy distribution partners on their, that people they can just drop a link. And people are actually, this was now word of mouth. So word of mouth is bringing in so many people. All you just need to do is okay to help us sort through it, right? This is it, this is it, this is it. Use this link. Submit your application here. We'll look at it and get back to you. How will you build something like that in a short period of time? What's the strategy there? So like this kind of assessment in this sense, this stuff we just discussed now is an assessment that if you submit to anybody, their mind is going to be like, oh, this is interesting. This stuff actually happened, right? People were actually bombarding iPads at the point, right? Everybody was talking about it. It was a hot trending topic within the girls' circle for at least maybe 1, 2 weeks on Twitter, right? And how were you now able to employ that understanding into, like into product management, their website that will now have accommodated this and how would you be able to pitch it to even them, to even consider you to be a product manager, right? Working with them. That way, I'm seeing somebody that is ready to work when you give me such a submission because it's going to be different from the normal product here now. I just say that, oh, I'm going to put this product here. I'm assuming that this is it. I'm just asking for interview people that will just tell me, oh, this is what it is. Not like that way. I understand that whatever you're giving me is way different, and I can now call the person and say, "Hey, your mind is different," because the mindset thing as well. Your mind is different. I think I can teach you. I think you're teachable, and I think you're someone that can learn. Learn very fast and be practical about your learning as well. So yeah, things like that will help. The kind of assessments they do, yeah, should help.
I think you've really, really touched into this next question, which is what should a strong product portfolio project demonstrate to potential employers? But if you have anything else to add to that, just so that it's more like elaborate, so people really understand what you're
Hmm.
going for.
Yeah, so like I said, it's just very important that we are able to see the mindset of the person who is doing the assessment, their approach, their approach. For example, we can say, okay, can you look up a product that failed? Three products that failed in maybe globally. What was the reason for their failure? Or maybe you can even talk about Oppenheimer and Barbie. They launched they were thrown out around the same time. Sometimes people just feel like it's supposed to be about software, software, software. No. I said for product managers, we are in this intersection of business, UX, and tech, right? Like I said, everything. The reason why I've been giving several examples I've taught on product and business is because it's not just about product alone, right? Once it's in the market, there are several things you have to interact with setting. What is your mindset about that? What are you even showing about ownership? So in the case of Oppenheimer and Barbie, when Oppenheimer launched, what was their own marketing strategy? Some people say, how does that concern me? Okay, don't let it concern you. When you enter product management, you understand that it concerns you because it's part of market. The market, you are literally in the market. You have to be in sync with sales. You have to always be in sync with market. Otherwise, sales will overrun you with more features than you can bear because they will promise people and they will come back to meet you to build it. That's the truth. And over time, your developers, your designers will be worn out. But if you as a junior or someone who is new, you say, okay, what happened maybe when Barbie and Oppenheimer launched? What was the marketing budget like? How was their, like what was the market reception to, I don't know if the level of marketing that they did. What was the box office? What was the highest grossing box office, maybe in whatever country they were in? All those kind of questions, answering those kind of questions alone, it may seem like, oh, this is a very, very silly assessment, but it gives us insights into your mind. Like I said, it's your mind we want to work with, not your knowledge of the, and again, with the way you answer it, we already know if you have knowledge of the things that you have, because invariably you're going to be applying them. You're applying them, but now you're applying them practically. You're not applying them like, okay, somebody just said left, right. Now you're applying them practically, and I think that is very, very important. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. As unfortunate as it is also a reality that not every product will succeed. And sometimes these founders, they find out late that customers are not even interested in what they have built or what they are building. So, what advice would you give to someone who has already built a product that customers are not using?
Hmm. Yeah. Depends on, well, if they're someone that would not want to give up, which I wouldn't advise them to do. It can be easy. There are different strategies that can work for such a founder. They can decide to they can decide to reevaluate the market, reevaluate the idea, like the idea to the market, and now understand maybe who they can be marketing to. So maybe when they launched in 2023, for example. The market, and maybe they've not done a reevaluation in 2026, and their product has suffered decline in the past 3 years, right? They may need to reevaluate. Number one, who is even active on their platform? Why are they leaving? Is there any way to reach out to these people and actually get their feedback? Right? One on one, let them start feeling like this company cares about me, because human beings like to feel special, like to feel important, like to feel like I'm the reason why I'm the reason why you built this app. A lot of them like to feel like that. So how are founders making their people feel? You see a lot of foreign businesses, once you just onboard their product, their founder is the one that is messaging you. Maybe it's a trigger alert, but it just gives you the, like, the familiarity, like, "Ooh, this founder is the one that like messaged me to welcome me to their product." Like, it just gives you that whole feel around it, right? But in another place, you just see info at, you just say, welcome to our product. This is this. How do you feel connected to such a place? How do you feel like the founder even had time to even message you? Do you understand? So, like, number one, how are you making your customers feel? Get a sense of whether that is the problem. Get a sense of if your product is frustrating customers, because a lot of Nigerian products are built statically. And what that means is that it is just built to work. It is not built to actually solve the problem. So that's why I said an idea can be a wonderful idea, but the people that are executing it, right, may not execute it in the way that the CEO, the founder, has always dreamed. So reevaluating who is building for you is also equally important. Reevaluating, maybe sales is not doing their job. Maybe that's why your products are fine. You have to first of all investigate what could be causing this decline first. Now, if we can ascertain that it is not any of these other factors and it's just a validation problem, then you may need to reevaluate. You reevaluate and say, okay, who is now my new user, right? And then you start working on strategies to meet the needs of this new user, right? Or who should be my new user? And then you start reevaluating to repackage your products, right? If you need to repackage it, or if you need to just resell it to a new customer base, you may decide to go that route. And that one may be um maybe looking at morphing the product into something more acceptable for the market, that you are obviously considering maybe within that year or something like that. Maybe something has changed about the market, and maybe you need to recall some features, maybe you need to add some new features. And then if it's a founder that does not have that much money, I would say that the founder can, there are some strategies some founders have used where they've actually gone out themselves, like they're the ones that will go out themselves to start marketing their product. In fact, they'll be the face of their own brand. right? Every this thing, and there's no founder that doesn't know how to carry their own product on their head, right? So in those kind of stations, I look at Bumper. You go and see Bumper. I don't know much about now, but if you can see Bumper, you see the CEO a lot. He's always there, always active in front of the camera, never shying away, always ready to market his product. I think the turnaround for me when I saw the guy, because I always follow products right from when they start. To me, it's interesting watching their history, watching their growth. So I remember when the dude started doing that, that was when a lot more hype, because the guy was like a an OG tech bro, this kind of guys like that. So it was very very interesting for you to now see like people like like trooping in. Okay, okay, okay. He will go to the vendor store. He'll go to the vendor store and be doing video with them. I really, really like the fact that you're now on our product. What can you say about our product? Oh, I really love onboarding to this, blah, blah. He's the one doing all of these things. And now the guy is abroad enjoying himself because all the days of being under the sun has paid off for his product. So, like, what are you doing as founder? Are you just okay with sitting on your AC office while your product is burning to the ground, while you're not making any funds? Like, these are questions you have to ask yourself. And then when you now inculcate that culture, right? And then you will still have your time to rest. If the money is coming in, you will rest now. You will rest. But before the money starts coming in, what are you doing as a founder? You see the Pilbeam AI guy too, he's the face of his product practically. And again, even his idea, he still holds on the fact that hey, I built this thing in public. In fact, that has become the story behind his product. Sometimes you work on the story behind that. I say history is also equally important. Companies that have history with customers tend to sell more because they can always relate to history. Coca-Cola has history, right? Google has history. Figma, call it Adobe has history. A lot of these people have history. So every time you see them, when they want to now come and give you one marketing campaign, they bring out their history one time, one time, one time, because they want you to be able to relate to it. Even cars, look at expensive cars, luxury cars, they rely on history when they are marketing to you. So like that's what I'm saying that like a lot of revalidation strategy, everything still boils down to two things when you talk about validation. They can be early stage validation, which is that maybe idea validation, right? They can also be late stage validation, but those two things always boil down to history, understanding of history. How do they want their product to be known? How is their product currently known? Do they need to write the way their product is known? Or do they need to come back to strategies to make their product stand out? So yeah.
I mean, that's really interesting. Before we let you go today, what final advice would you give to women who want to enter technology? They want to develop relevant skills or build products that people genuinely need. What advice would you give to these sects of people?
Well, be realistic. Be realistic. Don't lie to yourself. If you feel like you're not feeling a particular part of tech, go and try something else. You don't have to die on the line for one thing. You may not be you may not be feeling product management. Go into product design. You may not be feeling software engineering. Go into data analytics or data science. It doesn't have to be. You can go into product marketing. There are so many other things. You can go into product ownership. You can decide to be, these no code developers. You can do that. Can be an AI. People that vibe code. You can do that. People making good money from it. So why do you want to die on the line because one pathway is not working for you? A lot of people that make it, some people are lucky, they find their pathway at once. But some other people and the people that do really well are people that I'm navigating. Even I was finding my pathway now. Before I entered product management, I was in social media marketing, went into copywriting. Then I was a media strategist. Then I now navigated into software development. I started with full stack. Then I moved into front end. Then after that, I decided, you know what? I want to run away from this coding place. So I went into product management, and here I am finding my peace after trying and trying and figuring out what I really wanted to do. And now here I am, happy that I finally found my place. But you know what? Every single thing I learned along the way is what I brought into product management today. So there was no wasted knowledge if you really look at it. Everything actually just paved the doorway for what I actually still ended up doing. So I think that everyone should just see, especially when you're young, and even if you're old, nobody tells you you're old until you tell yourself you're old. So I think, yeah, just keep doing what you want to do. And if it's not working out, try something else. If you have the if you have the opportunity to, but if not, tough it out. If that's also your own strategy. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Omolola. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, your experiences, and the insights that you've shared with us today. Thank you so much. So today's discussion just reminds us that to build is important, definitely. It's also important to build what people want. It's also important to know who needs that product and then why that product is important to create real value. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone that has joined us today. So keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep building solutions and solving real problems. Until next time, thank you so much. Have a nice, wonderful day. Thank you so much, Molola, once again for joining.
I hope this, yeah, I hope
Yes.
it works.